So hello everyone, I'm Shay Elise Allen and welcome to the Midlife Pleasure and Power conversation series. Today I am so thrilled to be talking with Sandy BEVACQUA, who is, I'm going to read her bio because there's so much to say about this amazing woman that I'm about to have a conversation with. So Sandy BEVACQUA holds a PhD in molecular and cellular biology. She's worked as a research scientist in both university and government settings and has lectured to medical professionals and the public since 1986. Sandy's an expert in blood chemistry, pelvic wellness, and is passionate about empowering women and supporting them to get the care that they need. Sandy is based over in the US. Welcome, Sandy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Shay Lisa. I'm really happy to be here.
So Sandy, I'm going to start with this question. What do you think and feel when you hear the words midlife, pleasure and power?
Oh, we're going to start there. Wow. Well, let's see. Midlife, pleasure and power. I'm going to say midlife speaks to me when I'm thinking of a woman. It speaks to me of a woman that is either perimenopausal or menopausal. Midlife not being the middle of raising the children. Is that fair?
Yes.
Would you say that that's a fair place to start? Okay.
Yep.
Well, then in which case that's a very exciting time in a woman's life because, first of all, a lot of women don't know this, but your sexual prowess, your ability to not only achieve orgasm, but achieve different types of orgasms explodes as you get into your menopausal years. But most women don't know about this. So when you did start with pleasure, right? So sexual pleasure, the sexual pleasure that's available to the midlife woman is much greater than the reproductive aged woman. So you said pleasure and power. The power I think of in a woman does have a lot to do with the concept of yin and yang. And yin and yang speaks to what is feminine, that's yin, and what is masculine, yang. And many of us who've gone through advanced education and who have what would I say? We have our degrees. I mean, I can assure you that I didn't get a PhD in molecular and cellular biology without learning how to focus like a man. Men are, okay, male. Male is young. It is focused, hot, powerful. So we can talk about power, young, right? But very a narrow focus. Okay, yin is female. It is very wide. We are meandering. Feminine is meandering. It's cool water flowing under a bridge. It is diffuse awareness. We take it all in at once. So for a guy, usually with a guy, if they're focusing on two things, they think they're multitasking. But women can do 80 things at once and still carry on a conversation with the person in the room. And they're and in fact, not only do we have a diffuse awareness where we're attending to a lot of things, our environment screams at us. All of the things, the room is speaking to us saying, you know, there's this over here that you didn't get done yet. And you remember that there's still dishes in the sink. And remember that you're writing a manuscript. You really need to get to that today. We have like lots of things and we're taking care of everything, the meals and thinking and planning. We're doing it all at once. If a man lived inside of a woman's head for a short period of time, he would go crazy. And they think that that's not normal. Now, here's the problem. That is a power of a woman, but we have not been acknowledged it has not been honored. Diffuse awareness means we see it all at once and we can really hold it all at once. But we've been taught in a classroom to focus on one thing, sit straight forward, write down your mathematics. That's all we're doing right now. That is
Mm,
very male. And we
mm,
have been trained, many women have been trained, and we have not been honored to have our feminine abilities. So as we get older, we can start to allow femininity to be a part of who we are. And there's a place of power in that. The power of a woman is to be able to honor her femininity. And that is a big deal. There's a lot that you can do with that. In fact, let's see where this interview goes. I might get deeper into that.
yeah, goodness, Sandy, that is so wonderful to hear, so empowering, because it is something that, I mean, as women, we tend to feel like our multitasking ability is something that is scattered, or something that we need to rein in, as opposed to using it as a superpower. So I absolutely love that. Thank you. So Sandy, you're an expert in women's hormonal health, and I love what you say about the truth about balancing hormones. So I'd love for you to just speak to our audience a little more about what that means to you.
Well, you know, women go through perimenopause and then menopause. Men actually go through andropause. It usually comes later. A woman, late 40s, early 50s, she's probably going to go to a point where, I mean, she's going to run out of eggs. We only get about 450 ovulations that are viable in a lifetime. And then the last few eggs sputter and make their way out, and then we're done. We don't get to make babies anymore. Okay. So that's the way it is. 450 times, that's it. And then you're done. So if you started early, you end early. If you started late, you end later. But that's all you get. And then after that, well, then you throw a party. So, but the problem is that many women don't know that it's time to throw the party, because one, two, or more of the hormones will crash. Now, a woman under stress, if she has significant stress in her life, and it can be physical stress, mental stress, spiritual stress, if she stresses like crazy, probably most, if not all, of her hormones are going to crash. And she's going to be unhappy. She's going to lose her libido. She's going to gain weight. She's done. It looks like that. Not a happy time, is it? And so, how do we know what she needs? Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent of go have your hormones tested. Find out which one crashed, and then attend to it. And there's, you know, I'm a big believer in choices. And I help women with, okay, here we have your results back, and we can see that this one hormone here is why you're having all these symptoms. So here's some natural ways that you can attend to that. You can replace the hormone. You know, I'm not a big believer in synthetic hormones in the body. I think that's a really bad idea, and has been all along. And that's where people get, you know, are at risk for cardiovascular disease and greater risk of cancer and all that. But when you balance all the hormones, what happens is you have a woman that is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She's got great energy, and she has her sexual interest. Her libido is there. She is, I mean, I see it all the time. The woman with balanced hormones is has awe. She has happiness. She has greater intuition, and she has greater creativity. That's the woman that she walks into a room and everyone knows she's there. She's affecting everyone. And it's not just sexual relationships that are affected. It's every relationship. Every person she touches is affected by her balance. Because she's a role model.
Yeah, look, I think it's so interesting to have this conversation, because we were talking earlier about here in Australia, the GP is the main point of contact for women at this stage of life. They go and see their GP, they get their follicle stimulation hormone tested, they're confirmed that they're in menopause, and that's it really, you know, there's not, or, you know, go and get your bones tested, or, you know, there's a few sort of suggestions about what to do from there on. But women are really left out in the wilderness, not really knowing how to access the support that they need. So what advice do you have for those women?
I am sad to hear that. That is awful that so many women are being left out in the cold. There are areas in this country, there's some areas where it's really easy to get hormones tested, and other areas where, I mean, it's actually cultural in different areas of the country where the physician will go, you're postmenopausal, you won't need to look at your hormones anymore. It's like, wait, we need those hormones. We need them to avoid dementia. We need them to, get this, if your pelvic floor doesn't have proper hormone balance, our ligaments become lax. And that's why older women get tottery and fall down and go boom. That's where you end up with pelvic and femoral fractures. So it's not just the bone density that's lost, it's ligament laxity that happens. And that's why we can't maintain our balance. So maintaining hormone balance, it's not about how much you have, it's the balance. So here's what I do for the women from other countries or other areas that that's being refused. They cannot get their hormones tested. What we use is a hormone questionnaire. And I'll tell you what, so what I've done is I've taken as close as we can get. We look at symptoms that might be in a woman that has a particular imbalance. And we look to see, it can be tricky. With some hormones, you have the same symptoms when the hormone's too high as when it's too low. But if you look at the age and the other symptoms that are being reported, we can usually figure it out as to which hormones are off. And once we know, then okay, then we go to our menu. Here's the things that we do with women that need more of that. And here, do you see anything that you want? So I'll tell you what, I will do this for your listeners. I will provide that hormone questionnaire, and I will offer maybe a 15-minute Zoom. And if the person writes out what their what their symptoms are and sends it in so that I have it for that 15-minute appointment, I will make those free appointments for now. Just so everyone knows, there's only so many I can do per week. Okay, so I'll make appointments open on my website, or you can just contact the office, however you want to, email or whatever. People know how to make contact. Anyway, send in the hormone questionnaire, and what I will do is help you with what are the natural choices. What are the things that you can do to fix that particular problem?
That is such a generous offer. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, like women, the idea of a quiz, like for women to be able to see for themselves what is it, you know, because a lot of women are just feeling the symptoms but not actually knowing what it is that they need, and not knowing where to start and not knowing where to turn. So this is, you know, such an empowering and wonderful offer. So thank you so much, Sandy.
You're welcome. And my heart goes out because the suffering, I had intense stress in my life when I went through menopause, and I completely crashed. I had no hormones in my body, none. I mean, measurable, there wasn't any, unmeasurable. They didn't even register.
Wow.
So at one point, I went through complete adrenal fatigue. I was exhausted and falling asleep. I was falling asleep in the front of clients. I had lost all energy. I was suffering. I couldn't sleep at night. It was horrible. So I really get how bad the suffering can get. It affected my immune system. It affected my weight. I had no energy. It was as if I had already died. So I completely get it. And that's why my heart goes out to anyone that's dealing with this. So happy to help, happy to help.
Thank you so much. Women at midlife often feel like their symptoms are just, that saying it is what it is, you know, like they get to midlife and it's like, this is how life is now. And I think this is where women really lose that sense of empowerment and start to feel those symptoms of being invisible and, you know, like, I don't know where I stand in the world, in my community anymore. All these questions start coming up. So what I love about the conversations that I have with you is that it's all about empowering women to understand that it is possible to get to a place where we are feeling optimum health. So I'd love to just segue now into pelvic health, because there are different symptoms that women experience. Some women experience tightness and pain when it comes to penetrative sex. Some women are experiencing prolapse, and a lot of women don't know where to go with this either. So you have so much wisdom on this front, and I'd just love for you to share with us what you recommend and what might be possible, what is possible for women who are experiencing pelvic or a loss of pelvic health.
I'm going to start by saying I had a journey that took me to the pelvic health, the interest in helping women with pelvic health issues, because I had many, let me see, this was about, 25 years ago. I had a monstrous baby boy. In my family, well, I'm a very petite woman. I'm only 5 foot tall, and in our small little family, we have small little babies, and we do the little 6-pounders, right? And my first child was over 9 pounds, and that was not on the questionnaire on date night. Okay, so like, oh my God. So I had major pelvic floor damage from birthing a child like that, a vaginal birth. And I mean, major damage. I had organs falling out, I had incontinence, I had pelvic pain, sexual pain, almost the entire list of things that can go wrong I had. And it took me, Shaylee's, 12 years of a lot of different types of practitioners and therapies and learning about my own body to be able to get back to a healthy pelvic floor. And now I'm in my mid 60s and I've got the pelvic floor of a young woman. So
amazing. This is so exciting.
So all the organs are back where they belong and the pain is gone and everything is good. And but it took a long time because I couldn't figure it out. And I went to practitioners that were awful. I had one practitioner who was actually a woman's pelvic health, physical therapist, who said to me, well, you've got the pelvic floor of an 80-year-old. I don't know what you want me to do. You know, this is the way it is. So I said to her, did you just say that to me?
Yeah, you know, it's
that was not very empowering.
No.
So yes, it was highly disempowering. And these things, when we have such let me see, one of the things that we do in the sexual health class is develop language around female body parts, because we haven't been taught. We have medical language, there's derogatory language, but we don't have a loving language for female body parts.
A loving language. So, I love that. Yeah.
We're developing happy and loving ways to speak about our bodies. And there's an old word for the vulva vaginal area. It's called yoni. Yoni is kind of sweet. All right. And so when somebody tells you that your yoni is dead, it's not empowering. And I want everyone to know that organs can go back to where they belong, that incontinence can completely clear up. And yes, you know, we women do have a vaginal space. There's a reason for it. It's for having babies. However, it also is a place for organs to fall out. And guys, when they have pelvic floor organs that prolapse, it just falls to the bottom, but it doesn't fall out. When an organ is falling out while you're walking around, that's kind of disempowering too.
It's devastating.
It's devastating. And nobody ever told me. I didn't know that that could happen until it happened. I was like, what? So this is the kind of thing that can happen. Now, that's part of where my passion comes from. I know that there's a lot of women that are dealing with these issues, and it's really important to reach out and give solutions. So the Pelvic Health Transformation Program, now it's not up online right this moment, but I do work with women one-on-one to be able to clear up those issues. And every woman has a different set of things that she needs to do to bring them back up, or to take care of the problem, because it was a different set of circumstances that created the issue. Actually, do I know that to be true? No, I just made that up. However, the truth is that women can clear these things up, and it doesn't require surgery. In fact, oh my God, years ago, we had a woman that had 6 surgeries in 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
She started with a bladder that was prolapsing. She had a little bit of incontinence. She ended up with the bladder and the rectum completely out of her body and complete urinary and fecal incontinence after 6 surgeries in 3 years.
Goodness.
She's all better now.
How amazing. You see, these are the stories that we just don't hear enough of. This is profoundly empowering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how disempowering was it for her that she couldn't go to her place of worship or to even a grocery store because of the severity of the incontinence. She was homebound. And that is isolating. And as we know about isolation these days, but it's highly isolating, and it can be for life. There are women that are living this way. It's not okay.
Sandy, sexual wellness is another major part of midlife that women face. A lot of women lose their libido. A lot of women feel penetrative or pain from penetrative sex, as we just discussed.
Yes.
Let's talk about yin energy. Let's talk about the female pattern of arousal and inspire women with regards to what's possible on this front.
Okay, you just did a wide range. And I'm glad we already talked about hormones, because getting great hormone health, and I'll say more specifically for the menopausal woman, it's not about having the same amount of hormone that you had as a 20-year-old. We don't want that. It wasn't fun when we were doing it. So what we want is a tiny amount, but in balance with all the other hormones. And when that happens, you're balanced. That's it. That's all you need. So sometimes it's just a little brush stroke is all that's needed to be able to create the balance to get everything back working again. So it's not, I know that there's physicians out there that are giving massive amounts of hormones to postmenopausal women, and they're having a period again, and they're emotional, and they're having PMS, and it's like, yikes, let's not do that. So menopause is great. You don't have to go through bleeding every month. This is great. This is a wonderful thing. Menopause is a reason to throw parties. Okay, so let's say we've actually achieved balance. Now, if there is balance to the hormones of the vaginal cavity, one of the ways that you know is that you'll have rugae. What the heck is rugae? Rugae are the big, fat, juicy wrinkles that used to be in there when you were younger. Now, as we get older and we don't have the proper amount of hormone stimulation in the vaginal cavity, what happens is those big fat wrinkles can disappear, and the tissue can become more thin, and it loses its elasticity. Those rugae, those big wrinkles, are they allow an accordion type of an effect, along with a lot of lubrication, but also the lubrication, all that mucus that we produced, was a cleansing mechanism. And the mucus of a young woman is very acid in its pH. If she has proper hormones, sometimes young women have an issue with this as well, but if she has the right balance of hormones, It will be a very acid, mucousy environment that is constantly cleansing, just like our lungs and throat constantly cleanse, and our ears cleanse, and our nose cleanse. Okay, all of our orifices have natural cleansing mechanisms. That's what keeps you from getting UTIs. So postmenopausal women will tend to get UTIs because they've lost that acidity in the vaginal cavity, because they don't have enough hormone stimulating that mucus that keeps us protected. Because otherwise you have a dark, semi-moist environment that can grow just about anything. And remember, the vaginal cavity is connected to the urethra. That's how the bacteria, I mean, any woman that gets married and is extremely sexually active for a short period of time, or however that happens, knows that she might be more likely to have a UTI. That's because the bacteria and whatever's going on in the vaginal cavity is going to pass to the urethra, and it can get to the bladder and cause a bladder infection, right? But the vaginal cavity has this amazing cleansing mechanism if we have enough hormone. And one way, actually, here's a trick. If you don't have enough hormone, you're not sure how to do this, you don't have any, like if you want to do something right now and you're dealing with UTIs, one of the ways that you can cleanse the vaginal cavity is something that women have been using for ages, and that's apple cider vinegar. A very dilute apple cider vinegar douche will change the pH of the vaginal cavity and keep you protected. So if you're going to go have sex and you don't want to get a UTI, and you know you don't have enough hormones, you don't have enough rugae, you don't have that mucus, that's one way before and after.
Wow, I hadn't heard that before. So I imagine you'd use an extremely tiny amount.
Yeah, go online. You can see recipes for vaginal douching.
Yeah, okay.
And apple cider vinegar and water. It's okay. It doesn't have to be sterile. It's okay. Okay. I mean, the guys aren't sterile.
Yeah, true.
So, but getting one of the wonderful ways to attend to at least keeping those vaginal tissues with good, healthy rugae is using natural vaginal suppositories, which are available to women all around the world. And if anybody has any dry vaginal tissue, you have pain with sex, any of those issues, if you go for that free 15-minute, I'll teach you how to take care of that, because that's like, it's unacceptable. Don't have pain with sex. And I can't tell you how many women come to me and say, my doctor said it is my duty to have sex with my husband, but I bleed every time.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Talk about taking away empowerment.
Absolutely. I mean, that is one of the most heartbreaking things that I could possibly hear, and the most just dire advice. So yeah, I mean, I hear, what I hear a lot is that women are experiencing pain, and I've experienced vaginal pain with penetration since menopause as well. So it's been something I personally have faced, and yeah, it's confronting, and it's vulnerable. It's incredibly vulnerable. So, it's vulnerable enough with our bodies changing and finding the way to communicate to our partners what it is that's going on and what it is that we need.
Communication
hard.
skills. That's part of the sexual class.
Yes.
As you well know, we do communication in the bedroom and dealing with sexual shame and all of that. But okay, I want you to understand why there's sexual pain. The tissues become tighter, and they can get with penetration. There can be micro tears in these paper thin tissues, and it's lost its elasticity. So all of a sudden, the cervix is lower down than it ought to have been, or than it used to be. Now, one thing that you can do prior to having sex to allow for the cervix to go higher into the body is have an orgasm. Have if you can achieve just a plain old clitoral orgasm, the cervix will carry higher, and it'll give you a better chance of not having pain. Now, for lubrication, coconut oil, the grapeseed oil, olive oil can make for a natural or organic oil, can help you, but it won't recreate your rugae. It won't protect you in that way, but it will give you at least some decent lubrication while having sex. Lubrication is very important. Saliva is not enough. His pre-cum is not enough. We want to fully lubricate the tissues, but sometimes that's not enough. It's not enough to take care of the micro tears. Regaining rugae only takes about a week or two to regrow.
Wow. Wow.
Really
oh my
fast.
goodness. This is just so exciting. So this is something that happens with the bioidentical hormone work that you do with women. Is that right?
Oh, we don't even need to do bioidentical for the whole body, even just taking care of the vaginal tissues.
Yes.
Now, there's something else that happens. I told you that the vaginal tissues can get tight. Well, they can get tighter and tighter with no hormone in that area. I have one lady that is in her 80s right now. We're working on this. All of the vaginal space is the size of the last digit of her pinky.
Wow.
That's her vaginal space. She has no labia. The labia have gone. Now, what we're doing is we're adding hormone back. Not only does the hormone bring back all the rugae, it also brings back muscle tissue into the vaginal wall as well. So that the vaginal space becomes more integrous. It holds the organs back where they should be. It becomes more of a thing. And with very gentle dilation, her vaginal space is getting longer and wider and longer and wider. We are redeveloping. It's probably going to take a good 6 months to a year for her because it's that much. And we're looking for, we should be able to get at least 2 fingers comfortably or 3 fingers into the vaginal space without any pain. If it's painful, then there's an issue. Or at least be able to accommodate your partner at half mast. Soft is sometimes okay when we're in menopause. The man doesn't have to be intensely hard to have sex that is healing.
Yes.
And that's something we should talk about.
Really good conversation. Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So shall I go there?
Yes, please. I would love you to go there.
Okay. We spoke mildly, a tiny bit about yin and yang. Yin and yang, like I said, yang is outward, penetrating, hot, and focused. Yin is more reserved, closed, cool, diffuse, meandering. Okay, that is feminine. Our bodies and our personalities express these. In fact, in the woman, you'll see that our yang is our heart. We are out there we're taking care of the kids, we're taking care of the family, we are heart, caring for others, so oftentimes not caring for ourselves, but caring for others. We are out there and doing it all and taking care of everyone. Our yin is our yoni. She's closed and she needs cajoling and stimulation to open up. A man is yang in his phallus, his penis, right? They call it the lingam, right? So it's hot, penetrating, right?
Quick to arouse, usually, often, yeah. And
so that's his yang. That's yang for a man, but his yin is his heart. He's closed and needs cajoling to come out.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the two come together, now there is a word I'd like to introduce that is Shakti. Shakti is an old-fashioned word for a Sanskrit word for the sexual energy that moves through a woman when she has that. When you've been properly stimulated, you start developing an energy that comes through your body. And this comes through your chakras. And I know I might be talking woo-woo to some people, but this is for real. I have ladies in the that are conservative Bible Belt ladies that are finding their chakras and moving energy through them.
I love that.
Really, this is real, you know, and yes, it's really real. The energy is there. And now we're starting to energetically, or scientists are measuring now the energy that comes through the body. Well, when a woman is properly sexually stimulated, she has energy coming through her. Now, a man, if he knows what he's doing and she knows what she's doing and she comes first, then he can create great heat and energy in her. It comes through her body and it comes to the heart, and through the heart, it comes to the man and it heals his heart. It opens him. That is the healing of a couple. That when that energy cycles through and you truly have a movement of healing energy going through both of you, that is how we heal our culture. And that is a birthright that is not being practiced. This is what the Tantra practice is all about. They're not talking woo-woo. They're talking about something really real. And in fact, there's a couple that I started working with years ago for their blood chemistry analysis. And he's a pastor. They go on trips to countries, to Africa, and they do ministry. All right, very conservative couple. But when she was younger, she had a femoral break, and she was in great pain. And he would massage her leg before she went to sleep. And not too long after, she broke the other leg. So he was massaging both of her legs before she went to sleep each night, and it was getting her sexually stimulated. And he realized that her need was greater than what he was feeling deep in his 70s. And so what happened was he realized that she needed to have that movement, and it was healing to him. So they discovered on their own all about Tantra. And they had a practice that they did at least 3, 4, 5 times a week that they called cuddling. And cuddling ended up being the two of them conjoined and sharing energy. And that allowed for them to get into their 80s and 90s with amazing energy. When you start moving Shakti through a couple, through two bodies, what happens is you get younger. I mean, look, I'm in my 60s.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
It's great stuff.
It's amazing.
I want you to know this is worth the effort.
So Sandy, this couple that you're talking about, I remember a couple of years ago you telling me about a couple that started to have ecstatic sex in their 70s. Is this the same couple?
No, that was a different couple.
Great.
Different
All these
couple.
fantastic stories.
That story, okay, she was in my pelvic health transformation program. The poor thing, she had a uterus that had prolapsed, a bladder that had prolapsed. She had both kinds of incontinence, and sex was impossible. Okay, it was not going to happen. And so they had been, let me see, I think he was 77 when we met, and she was like 72. She did the pelvic health transformation program, got her organs back, took care of the incontinence problems. And she was like, she was actually one of the people that really pushed me to do the sexual health class. And so I was working with, we were doing the sexual health class, and she learned about this and started moving energy, and they started having Kundalini, truly transformative sexual experiences for the first time in their 70s. And they called me up. This is what I told you about. They called me. Both of them are in tears. He's crying, but he's ecstatic. He's like, this is amazing. I can't believe this. But she was bittersweet. She said, why didn't, we've been together since we were teens. Why didn't I know about this as a young woman? Why didn't I have this information? Why is it that we're in our 70s when we learned how to do this? And she's right. It should be something, it's a birthright. We need to understand this. This is partly why couples fall apart. They don't stay together because they don't have a way, they haven't discovered how to recharge their, how to put money in the bank, in the love bank. This is how you put money in the love bank and stay together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Such incredibly empowering stories. And even though there is that, that feeling of sorrow that this experience hadn't been known to that woman earlier, to our midlife women audience, it is incredibly inspiring to know that it's possible to ignite this energy. It's possible to experience a whole new level of ecstatic, orgasmic experience in your body post-menopause.
Do you know, in the class that I teach, I only teach the first 7 types of feminine orgasms, but we have women that have gone way beyond that. And we do teach bridging so that the women can develop new types of orgasms.
Yes.
We have women that are regularly practicing 24, one woman, 27 different, distinctively different types of orgasms that she can achieve and has described. And so this is what's possible postmenopausally. We don't have just one single head of the clitoris orgasm. There's lots of orgasms.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a G-spot. And yes, there is. This affects a woman in every way. It affects her physically, mentally, and spiritually. And she becomes stronger, like a warrioress, like someone that is a mentor, that's someone that is a leader in her, at least in her family, if not in her culture.
Yeah. How wonderful. Beautiful. Sandy, there is so much more that we could talk about. And I just want to say that to our audience, that we will do another interview and we'll deep dive into some of these things that we've talked about today. But to wind up this interview today, I want to ask you, if you could offer one pearl of wisdom, and I know that that's a big question because there are so many coming from you, to a woman at midlife, what would that be?
A woman at midlife, even if she doesn't have, if the hormones are not quite right, or life is not quite right, or the finances aren't quite right, a woman always has her intuition. And that is the information that that doesn't come from your head. If you look for where it comes from, it usually comes from inside of your body. When you have a knowledge that you know it within you, and women have this, that is what you want to help you guide, help you guide your decisions and where you're going. I mean, you might not, it's true. It's like, if we don't have enough testosterone, we might not want to hang around with people. We might have trouble making decisions. We lose some of our strength. It can knock you down, but you always have your intuition. That intuition will feed you the good stuff. That's the juicy stuff. And you always have that. Allow your intuition to guide you. And the other thing I will say is, no one can love you like you can. Love yourself, practice self-love. Shaylee, that's something that we can talk about, because if we, let's meet again, perhaps. And I'm your fan. I'm your greatest fan. I love what you do.
And it's so wonderful.
I will help you, whatever it is that you're doing. I love you, and I love what you're doing for women. And I am very impassioned, and you give me hope.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you. I feel all those things about you.
But I would like for women, first of all, there is hope. You're not broken. There's a lot to you. And I want you to trust your intuition, trust what's within you, and know that, develop trust. Know yourself. And the way you develop trust is through self-love. And self-love can start off just by drinking clean water, staying hydrated, eating great food, self-massage, getting into a hot bath, perhaps, some act of self-care, a warm, cuddly blanket. Take care of the young woman that's still within you and love on that child that's within you. And I know I'm kind of mixing up things here, but love on yourself, because no one can love you like you can.
That is the most powerful and beautiful way to end this conversation. I love that we've ended on self-love. Self-love is like the most critical part of this journey, as you know, as we both know. And yeah, it's a divine way to end. Sandy, you are such a wealth of information, and thank you for being so generous with it today. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and I really look forward to having another one of these conversations and deep diving into some of these topics.
Okay.
And I'll share your information with people so that they can email you with regards to your offer as well. So thank you for that too.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy.
Take care.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.